So what separates winners from quitters in network marketing? The $1 million question, right? I'm Sarah Zolecki. I'm excited to share with you exactly what that is and how it changed my entire trajectory over the last, I'd say 30 years of being in this profession. My husband and I, we've been building together for the last 20. We built a $1 billion team. And listen, I have to tell you, there are so many different things that are out there whether it's learning skill sets, whether it's leveling up, whether it's social media, all these different things inside of network marketing. I want to share with you that there really is just one thing. The person with the biggest belief is who wins. The person with the biggest belief is who wins. I think about when I first got started in my career, I was brand new. I was super nervous at the time. At the time, we were actually doing like presentations inside of like quote unquote, we call these training centers. And I remember I was still trying to figure it all out. I had a little bit of success, nothing too crazy. And there was a presentation, there was a special guest that was there. And this special guest, he, was there and he was asking different people, hey, I'm looking for someone that can help like do the introduction and bring me up on stage and all that good stuff. And I didn't even know him from Adam, right? And I remember he looked over at me and he goes, you, like, I want you to tell the story. I want you to be the person. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this guy doesn't even know, like, I've never been in front of the room. I've never said anything and I was so nervous. But at the same time, like, I don't know, maybe it was my ego. Like, I was like, I don't want to tell this guy I don't know what I'm doing. So I was like, okay. And I remember for the next 20 minutes before the event started, I was a nervous wreck. Oh my gosh, I was dying inside. I was so nervous. And it was crazy because I went up there and I was terrible, first of all. I went up there, I walked right up in front of the room. I wish I had a video camera on this. I walked right in front of the room. I stood in front of the room. I didn't even, I totally blanked out on how to introduce this guy. I basically just said, he was the bomb. Terrible, right? And I remember I just said, whatever, right? And he walked up and I didn't even stop, as he was walking up, I just kept on going, right? And so I walked around the back and I literally walked right out the door. I was so embarrassed and I was so nervous. I walked in, introed, walked out, and that was it. It was so terrible. And I'll never forget afterwards, I talked to the guy and I remember I asked him, I'm like, why did you pick me? Why did you pick me? And he said, you know what? Because he's like, I asked other people in the office who was a person that was working the hardest, that was committed, that maybe hadn't had the results yet, that, felt like they were kind of the next thing that was going to hit, as far as having some type of success. And they said, you. And so guess what? I believe in you and I believed in you. And that's why I put you up. And I have to tell you, the power of belief is so important. And I'll never, ever, ever forget that because that absolutely changed my life, guys. I was 21 years old. I'll never forget it as long as I lived. And it was someone had poured some belief into me. But I will tell you that there's different areas of belief that's super important that we have to focus on to become great in network marketing. Number one, we have to focus on belief in ourselves, right? And it's kind of like what I tell people, it's like elevating, right? Elevating your belief, elevating your state, right? And so it's coming from a place of, elevating your belief in you is knowing that you are fully capable. Even though you might not have the skills, even though, you feel like it's still kind of wobbly, you're still trying to figure this out, belief in you, right? And you have to ask yourself the question, do I feel that I'm capable? And I'm here to tell you, you are. Every single person is capable, right? We've got to be willing to do the work and be willing to work on ourselves. And because that was the biggest thing for me is it wasn't like I didn't have belief in all these other areas, but it was the belief in me, right? And I will tell you that the belief in yourself is going to come from the doing. It's not going to come from the action that we take, right? It's the way that we create confidence in ourselves is not just automatic. The confidence is gonna come from the action, right? The confidence is gonna come from the doing part, right? I think about I was actually watching a Instagram reel that talked about my daughter's in traveling basketball, right? And one of the coaches was saying the number one thing that I teach, how I teach confidence, is I help these players understand like the way that you're going to gain the confidence is by becoming aggressive, right? And really getting out there. And so I look at our business as so much the same, right? It's so much of the same when it comes to that, right? I also look at belief in product, right? Or service, depending on what you're selling. Like what does that look like, right? Do you know, look at your company's awards and accolades and where they stand and the things that make them, special and unique. And what are the things that make you so proud, right? To represent the brand. And so that also too, the belief in that, but we all know the only way that that's going to happen is by creating the stories, right? And having the stories and being a product of the product, right? And every single month be thinking like, how can I create another new story, right? Depending on how broad of a product line that you have. If you have more than one product, you should definitely be focusing on each month, right? Creating a new product story for yourself, but then also helping create new product stories for other people, because that's what's going to create the emotion and get people to move, right? I look at how many companies now, how many people that are representing those companies, the way that they got started was they had an amazing product experience, right? Like the best recruit ended up coming from a super satisfied customer, someone that actually just became a raving fan, right? And couldn't not talk about the business, right? Also to belief in opportunity, right? With belief in opportunity, that's a huge piece, right? So it's like, you've got to really have that belief of the opportunity that's in front of you with your business, right? What sets you apart? What gets people excited, right? But I will tell you that belief thing is you have to also feel and know that if you build it, they will come, right? We've all heard that cliche, but it's so true. I look back on my business where it's like, I know for me, like early on, like I had to be willing to like do the work and know that if I did the work long enough, it was going to happen. And it might not happen in a week or a day or, a month, a year or whatever. I've been doing this 30 years, right? But I knew that if I did one foot in front of the other and I didn't give myself a plan B or escape plan or whatever it is, and I just said, I'm just going to do this until it would hit, right? And then, I look at too, like the belief of, I feel that, kind of like elevating the vision, right? For your life, not just your life, but also elevating the vision for your business, right? Like, what does that actually look like? And when you can elevate that, again, that was a piece for me that I had a vision of what I wanted my life to look like early on, right? Early on, way before the results, way before anything else. And I knew that my plan would probably have to be, tweaked, and I would have to be flexible and adaptable and all that stuff. But if I kept my vision clear, right, and I knew what I wanted, I knew eventually like it was going to happen, right? It was one day this was going to happen. And again, it wasn't about, creating some like pipe dream or whatever. It was like, yes, I would cast this vision, but also, yes, I would do the work, right? The pipe dream a lot of times is someone that just says, hey, this is what I want, but they don't do the work to get that, right? Or to create it. And I think too, guys, I look at, building, belief, I think is so important, but it's also building belief and like elevating the belief of others around you, right? It's kind of like, I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, right? We would have those like kind of janky swimming pools, right? The ones that you would put up in the summer and you would just kind of, I don't even know, you could buy them wherever, right? And you would get in them, and I don't know about you, but like I loved getting in these with my friends, and we actually would make like those pretend like whirlpools, right? Where you would get in and you go around, 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 and then all of a sudden it was like a tornado, right? It was just going with or without you, right? And I imagine like that's the same thing that happens when you elevate the belief in others, right? It happens all the way around, and you end up creating like this movement, right? That really just can't be stopped, and it's everyone doing it, right? And I think that piece is so cool with our business, because that's what happens. That's how you create a team that thrives. That's how you create the belief. That's how people are like, oh my gosh, right? And so it really goes back to like whoever has the biggest belief is who wins, right? Whoever has the biggest belief is who wins, right? But here's what I want you to know. Every day, choosing belief, like that's a choice. Like every day, that's a choice. Every day you choose to believe or to doubt. And whatever you believe is true is true. And so I chose 30 years ago that this was going to be an opportunity for me to design my own life, to help other people make a life, not just a living, right? And be my way of life, right? The things that I do every day. So you have to choose, right? Your belief, and you get to, and there's a lot of distractions out there, a lot of things you can choose not to do. But I think it's important that if you have all of these in place, right? You work on elevating your belief. You work on elevating your belief in the product and opportunity. You work on elevating your vision, right? You work on elevating your belief in other people. When you focus on all of those things, right, you become something that is so unstoppable that, again, whoever has the most belief is who wins inside of this business. Not skills, not network, not anything, but it really comes down to belief. So if you got some great value out of this, do me a favor, share this video with all the people that you care about. If you aren't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button on here. I encourage you to share it out and have others subscribe as well. And we can't wait to talk to you on the next video.